All right, today we're going to do a will it boot on this HP Media Center with Vista, allegedly, and an AMD Phenom 64. It's got NVIDIA onboard graphics, but this one does have a graphics card on it. It's an Asus, and the only thing I'm worried about is this little relay here looks to be out of place, and it might have a spot of corrosion there. But I don't know, because the solder on the back actually looks okay, like maybe that's the way it's supposed to be oriented. It just looks a little goofy to me, so we're going to try it anyway. The heatsink is, the plastic mount is broken on the board, so it's just on its side, so it will sit there and hopefully sink some of the heat off. I didn't put any compound on it because obviously I don't know if this even works, so I'm not going to worry about that for right now. The drives, we've got two hard drives in here, not sure which ones are boot drive or what. And then, of course, there's the expandable pocket bay and an optical drive here. Now, interestingly enough, this thing has a protector over the the VGA here. That says "Do not remove." Not sure why, but we've got onboard video, or excuse me. We don't need the onboard video because we've got the graphics card. So we're going to give it a shot, see if it powers up and boots up. I will be connecting, this will be the first time I'll be using a DVI cable. So we're going to be trying the video card here first. If that doesn't work, we'll take off that cover for the VGA and we'll try the VGA onboard graphics. All right, so we're all wired up here. The LED indicator came on the back of the power supply, so that's good news so far. We're wired up to the monitor, which will auto-detect as soon as it boots up. Alright, our fans appear to be working. We've got two distinct hard drive noises going on. The bottom one seems to be giving the most noise. No beep codes. The fan is going on the graphics card. However, we are not getting any input to the monitor, or excuse me, output. Input on the monitor, output to the monitor. So I don't know if maybe the connection's just loose, or if maybe we're just not going to get anything. I'm going to fiddle around with the cords here and just try a couple things and see what we can revive. So this is interesting. I turned the power off to the system, as you can see here, but the fan on the graphics card is still going strong, like it's still drawing power. So not sure what that might indicate, but interesting. Okay, so at first glance I thought everything was connected to the monitor correctly, but it was actually a little loose. So we're going to just try and fire it up again without changing anything else and see how it goes. Again, hard drive sounds. Everything seems to kick in as intended. No post codes. And also no monitor signal. So we're going to assume that this video card probably is not sending signal properly. Or potentially there's a setting issue with the software. I'm going to go ahead and try and shut it off again with the power button. And I just want to see if, as everything shutters, yep, as I suspected, the graphics card fan is still running. And it's not running where it seems like it's slowing down or getting in a final cool before a down cycle. It's just purely running. So we're going to go ahead and cut the power. And then we'll change some settings and see what we can figure out. Okay, so we took the T9 screws out of the back here and we were able to get this connected here. It's kind of a loose little connector, so I had to be pretty ginger with it, but we're going to go ahead and just fire it up, see if we get any kind of output from the VGA. Again, we've got hard drive sounds. No beep codes. getting no output from the onboard graphics at all. So at this point, I think it likely falls to a couple of different things. It could be that we've got bad memory. It could be that the processor's no good. It's tough to say, but we'll have to do some more tinkering and see what we can find out. Okay, so we took out the video card and tried powering it up again. And yet again, we've got nothing on the inputs at all. So it looks like either way we slice it, so far no good. We'll have to keep digging. Okay, so we swapped out the Phenom for an extra Sempron I have, just to test and see if it's the processor that's giving us some issues. Now, of course, the Sempron had some bent pins that I had to bend back and repair. The next guess I have is the memory base, but everything looks to be seated properly, and I don't see any bad caps or anything on this board, so I'm thinking maybe it's the processor, but we'll keep rolling and see what we find. All right, we're going to go ahead and give it some juice and see what happens. Hard drive sounds, fans kicked on. Still no go, at least with the onboard. So I think at this point we can probably safely rule out onboard graphics versus graphics card causing the issue since we've swapped processors. I'm going to plug the graphics card back in. We're going to just try that quick. Okay, so we've got the graphics card back in. We're wired in with DVI. Let's go ahead and turn it on, see what we get. It would appear we are still getting nothing. Again, no beep codes. So at this point, I think the only thing that remains is the memory test. So it could be that it needs to be reseated, or we may just have bad RAM, or it's entirely possible we've just got one that's not going to boot. It could be our first one in a while. Let's check it out. Okay, so we removed DIMMs 3 and 4. These are gig sticks. The other two in here are 512s. They are not matching to those sticks. So we're going to give it a shot with just the 1 gig of memory in here and see what we get. Oh, helps if I turn on the power strip bay. Here we go. All right. Again, nothing is happening on the monitor. Hard drives sound like they're kicking up. I'm going to plug in the onboard graphics. Still nothing. Nothing on board, nothing through the graphics card, so that leads me to believe that could be all the memory's bad, or again, this is looking more and more like it might be our first total machine that is not bootable. Alright, we're going to give it a try. This time I've removed all the memory, and we're just going to try and power it on with no memory in it. Now, there is an onboard beep speaker, as there should be on all boards, although not all of them do have it, as I've found. So we should get a beep code for just 0 memory on this board, and that should at least clue us into whether or not this board is even working. Now that is interesting. No beep code at all would lead me to believe that we might have a bad BIOS chip on this board. And if that's the case, as I suspect it may be, we may be in for the first ever non-booter Will-It boot. The one thing I haven't tried yet now in this configuration is I did throw that Sempron instead of the Athlon. And I don't know if that Sempron chip is good. So I'm going to go ahead and switch her back off. We're going to throw in the Athlon chip again. We're going to try that. If we get a beep code, we'll try putting some memory in it and go from there. Okay, so we've got our Athlon back in there. Heat sink is just again resting on top because the mount bracket itself is broken. Just make sure it's clear of everything. Okay, we're going to go ahead and fire it up with the Athlon. Again, no memory loaded. See if we get a beep code. Again, I forgot to turn on the power strip again. Here we go. Fans and everything come on. No display, no beep codes. I think we might have ourselves a dead motherboard. Alright everyone, so after trying virtually everything I can try other than going through each individual chip and looking for the bad one, this motherboard is indeed dead. There is no display, no post, and as far as I can tell there's no obvious bad capacitors, so I'm guessing it's a controller chip on the board that's not working correctly. At this point, for my purposes, I have so many of these retro machines hanging around. This one's not going to be saved. We're going to dismantle it, harvest the parts, and send this one back to the recycler. If you've enjoyed this video, unfortunate failure, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, stay up to date with me, and you can always check me out on the Digital Escape Podcast YouTube page. We have a fresh episode that just dropped today. We've got more episodes coming up soon, and we also have an exclusive to YouTube show called the Warp Core Podcast, where my friend Lord Uther and I talk nothing but Star Trek. So if you're a Trekkie or just an overall nerd, come check us out. We're happy to have you. And as always, we'll see you next time.